Chapter 1. The Lights Beneath the Ground. The city had never truly known darkness. When the sun disappeared behind the glass towers, night here was not rest. It was only another version of the day. Brighter, colder, more honest. They called it the city that never sleeps. Andrew stood on his apartment balcony, 27th floor, staring down at the endless stream of traffic below. Red and white lights stretched into glowing threads, weaving together like veins inside a giant mechanical body. Beneath the concrete and steel, trains roared through tunnels, water pipes hummed softly, fiber optic cables carried digital dreams. He had lived here for 12 years. 12 years of staying awake with the city. Andrew was a freelance journalist. He wrote about stories that never made the front page. Quiet disappearances, neighborhoods erased. His phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. Do you want to know why this city never sleeps? Andrew frowned. Another message arrived immediately. 11 p.m. Abandoned subway station 9. He glanced at the clock. 10:17 p.m. Late night meetings were nothing unusual here, but an abandoned station was different. Line 9 had been shut down 3 years ago due to a structural issue. Newspapers ran a few short articles, then silent. Andrew did not believe in coincidences. He grabbed his coat, his recorder, a small notebook, and a metal pen. Before leaving, he looked back at his dark apartment. City lights spilled through the window, casting distorted shapes on the walls. For a brief second, he felt as if something was watching him. Just imagination, he muttered. Station 9 lay hidden behind a row of closed storefronts. The old sign had been painted over, but the faded number was still visible. Andrew descended the stairs. The air was damp and colder than above. Rust and stagnant water lingered. Only a few ceiling lights still worked, flickering like they were undecided between life and death. 11:02 p.m. You came. The voice echoed from the far end of the platform. A woman stepped out of the shadows, half of her face lit by the weak overhead light. She looked about 30, with short hair and sharp, observant eyes. You sent the messages? Andrew asked. She nodded. You can call me Jessica. All right, Jessica. What's so important? She stepped closer. You wrote about the 3 construction workers who disappeared last year at the new financial district site. Andrew remembered. The case had been classified as a workplace accident. No bodies were ever found. What does that have to do with this place? Everything. She pointed down at the old railway tracks. Why do you think Line 9 was closed? Subsidence. That's what they said. Yes, but they never said what caused it. A gust of wind rushed up from the tunnel, icy and sharp. Jessica pulled a small device from her pocket, something like a portable hard drive. This contains blueprints of the city's new underground system, not in any public record. Andrew's pulse quickened. Where did you get that? That doesn't matter. What matters is what lies beneath us. She walked to the edge of the platform and shone a flashlight down it. The beam revealed a wide fracture between concrete slabs. The tunnel doesn't end at the last station. It continues deeper to a level that doesn't officially exist. And what's down there? Jessica looked at him steadily. A massive data center. Not to store information, to collect it. Collect what? Sleep. Andrew gave a short laugh. You're joking. Have you noticed how many people suffer from insomnia now? Why the city is always lit? People think they stay awake because of work, stress, social media. But the truth is, there's a low frequency signal transmitted from underground. It keeps the human brain in a light state of alertness. Not enough to notice, but enough to prevent deep sleep. Andrew said nothing. It sounded like a conspiracy theory. But he had seen enough to know reality was often stranger. Why would they do that? Data from fatigued minds is incredibly valuable. It predicts behavior, shapes consumption, even influences political decisions. Jessica handed him the device. I need you to expose this. Why not do it yourself? I tried. A shadow crossed her eyes, and I lost everything. Metallic footsteps echoed from the staircase. They turned. Two figures in black uniforms appeared at the entrance. No insignia. Their movements were calm, deliberate. They've been following me, Jessica whispered. Andrew tightened his grip on the device. Another way out. She pointed toward the fracture. If you're brave enough. The figures reached the platform. Hand over the device, one of them ordered, voice cold as steel. Andrew looked down into the darkness below. He was no hero, just a storyteller. But if this was true, it was bigger. Jessica stepped back. You have to decide now. Footsteps approached. Andrew inhaled deeply. Then he jumped. The fall lasted only a second, but long enough for him to think of his apartment. The sleepless nights, the city lights. He hit nothing. Pain shot through him, but nothing broke. Jessica jumped after him. Above them, the men stopped at the edge, blocked the lower exits. A voice commanded. Jessica grabbed Andrew's hand. Run. They sprinted through a narrow tunnel. No city lights here, only the weak beam of a flashlight and the pounding of their hearts. After minutes in darkness, the tunnel opened. Before them stretched an enormous chamber. Hundreds of metal pillars rose from floor to ceiling, glowing faint blue. A low hum filled the air, like the breathing of something alive. Andrew froze. This is the heart of the city that never sleeps, Jessica said. Above them, giant screens displayed endless waves of brain activity. Millions of signals overlapping like an artificial sky full of stars. They're collecting from everyone, Andrew whispered. Almost everyone. A silent way. Red lights flashed. They know we're here, Jessica said. Andrew looked at the device in his hand. If this data went public, the entire city would tremble. But if they were caught, he stared at the blue pillars, thinking of millions of people scrolling through phones, working late, believing they chose this life. Maybe they never had a choice. We need a network report, Andrew said, voice shaking but determined. If I can upload this before they reach us, Jessica pointed toward the center of the chamber. There, footsteps echoed from the tunnel behind them. Above their heads, the city still glowed. For the first time, Andrew understood. Some lights do not guide you, they blind you. He tightened his grip on the device and ran toward the brightest pillar. Because if the city would not sleep, neither would he tonight.